Right, excellent. Let me see if we can sort ourselves out. It's always good. It's never. Excellent. That looks like we've done one. Get rid of that. Cool. Let's see if we have some people joining us. Oh, dear, oh dear. Let's tie that up out of the way and then see what goes on. Oh, there we are. Oops. Right. Cool. Let's get rid of those glasses because that's always cool. And see if we've got anyone coming in to watch. Oh, good evening, Sheila. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Helen. Thank you. I've got a little bit of tech for helping me today because I know I wouldn't remember everything. I trust whilst we just wait and see who else comes in. It's a bit lonely at the moment, isn't it? I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I trust that you have all had a safe time, enjoyed whatever you've been up to, and got whatever you needed or wanted. Let me just get rid of that thing that's going to bing and pick up. There we are. That'll be good. And are looking forward to a new year of creative makes. Let's not throw this lot all around the place. So there we are. So I have a cheap wooden chopping board, charcuterie board. I'm not too sure I'd use it for any meats. Just looking at the way it's, I don't think it's been sealed very well, but that will work to our advantage this evening, which is always cool. So let's remove that. So welcome everyone to the new year. You see it's a bit of a reject, but again, it's not going to matter. It'll stand on a wonk, but that's okay. And I had to have a little bit of a think about what I was going to do for my make for the beginning of the new year. And although our new year has passed and I had a wonderful celebration piece published by Pentart on New Year's Eve, I had to think about what I was going to do for the start of the new year and thought, let's look at Chinese New Year, which this year is being celebrated around the 29th of January, and it is the year of the snake. So I'd add a little bit of thought. So people born in the year of the snake are known for their intelligence, creativity, and resourcefulness. Does that apply to me? Well, I definitely wasn't born in the year of the snake. I'm definitely not that. But anyway, I thought that it was an interesting set of adjectives: intelligence, creativity, and resourcefulness. So creativity, Pentart do in abounds, and resourcefulness, well, you find what you can to work with. So the next thing I thought about is what can we look forward to for the year of the snake if we're going to celebrate it? And it's a year to learn from the past. Moving forward with wisdom, awareness, transformation, and compassion. All things that I think are good things to have in a mindfulness sort of way. The snake represents wisdom, knowledge, intelligence, intuition, and creativity. Snakes are also associated with good luck, prosperity. Well, we could always all do with a bit of that. Fertility. I think my fertility days are long since gone. And longevity. So there we are. That was the thought process around what we're going to do. So good evening to Juliana. Hello, Faith. Hi, Jan. Hi, Liz. Good evening, Helen. Hi, Elizabeth. Hello, Esther. Hello, Isabella. And I think we have Connie watching and Sharon as well. So that's a lovely start to the new year. So that being thought, I then had to go and dig around in my stash to find things that were going to work. And we're going to start with this wooden board, and we're just going to cover all sorts of pieces, and I'll talk about them with a layer of black gesso. So I am very lucky in the sense that I have a Chinese sister-in-law, and I spent some time out in Hong Kong, and the Chinese colours of celebration are red and gold. Their colour of sorrow is actually white, so completely different to us. So their wedding dresses will all be based in red and gold, or the traditional ones are, although out in Hong Kong the custom has become that they will pay to go to wedding photography bureaus and then get lots of wedding portraits done in very extravagant white gowns. I will paint the back of this after the live, because you don't need me to see me doing everything all together. And I'm dressed up like I am with a not particularly smart Uzi, sorry about hitting the camera, because it's been cold in the UK. Not as cold as parts of America, I grant you, but my conservatory is not heated. So I've been keeping out of it as much as possible. Though I did put a fan heater on about half an hour before I went live to at least take the chill off the air. Good evening, Julie. So, so anyway, so we've got a layer of black to go. For those that you haven't met me before, my name is Gill. I am one of Pentart's creatives, and I've been with them for quite a while now. And I think I've got an exciting year ahead. Well, no one's told me that I haven't. And I did receive a very lovely email before Christmas saying that they hoped to continue working with me for and lots of their other creators for the next year. I'm just going to give that a little spritz of water, because the gesso paste is, as its name would imply, a paste, so it's quite thick, but it's pigment dense and gives you great coverage. But a little bit of water will help thin it down, and mine's probably a bit thicker than even a new pot, partly because it's been open for a while. Though it looks like I might be getting to the bottom of it. Hey! So as I said right at the beginning, I went on a little hunt. Ooh, she says that can go on the floor. Oh, she says not upside down. That wouldn't be helpful. Yeah. Out there next to the fan heater. Through my stash, and I wanted a snake. So this is a Stamperia mold. It comes from Amazonia collection, and it has a snake. So I thought, that works perfectly well. So that seemed to me to be sensible. So I have cast this with the rapid resin from Pentart in the white. And then I thought, I might need some numbers. And so I've taken the Christmas Gear Up for Christmas collection, and let's get rid of that one. And I've cast 2025 in with the little letters. The big ones are beautiful, but were just too big for the piece that I was creating. And I'll come back to the next bit when we get there. Okay, so that's where my pieces are from, because I think that's quite handy to know. But you know, to be fair, any small numbers would work from any company that you wanted to that you had. And if you can't find a snake mold, because I get that it's fairly niche, you could go and raid the children's farm or zoo animal collection, because I'm quite often buckets of snakes will be sold, plastic ones, that you can then do exactly the same with them. In fact, you might arguably be able to chop them up or move them and have more of them than this. If you're using a plastic snake, then my suggestion was that you prime it with bonding primer first and then paint it black. You're going to have to do a bit of drying one way or the other. So just because I've used a mould, if you haven't got the mould, doesn't mean that this project isn't accessible to you. Okay. So let's just get my hands really filthy dirty. Yeah, you could actually make a fake one with from a piece of cord that was textured, or you could make one from clay. It's a worm shape, long wiggly tube, isn't it, with some scales put into it. So I think there's lots of options for creating a snake. If you're inspired and think that you want to make something that is appropriate for the upcoming Chinese New Year. Yeah, well, I think lots of people will have it. The Amazonia collection was very popular, and we get collections. So one of the things that I'm absolutely wanting to do this year is to think outside the box, use what I have. Resourcefulness. I think that's quite appropriate, doesn't it, for the meaning of the Year of a Snake. And I think in this format, it's not going to be a scary snake, though, because I do know that snakes are not suitable for all creatures. And where is my pot of water? That will be in the room next door. So let's just wrap that up. Up that there. Protect that one from drying and give my hands a good clean, because I had a feeling you might have done, Sarah. Hi, Gloria. Welcome from to you in Canada. I trust that you are okay, and that the polar vortex storm event has not been too awful for you. There we are. We need to do some bits, and I'll explain why we're doing them in sort of this order, because it will all become clear. If I take that black gesso out of the way. So the next thing that I have from the Sir Vagabond in Japan collection, so I know many of you will have that, is this soft impression mold. And it's a long time, I think, since anyone has actually used a soft impression mold, but it's just got some Chinese writing on it. So, but there are stencils with Chinese words. So you could use a stencil with some nice thick modelling paste. That would also work for part of the background. This is just going to provide a layer of texture for my piece. So you could take a stencil and push it into a layer of flat clay if you've got one of those that has Chinese letters on it, or you could take any stamps that you've got with Chinese characters on them and equally pop that in. So this is modelling paste light. I prefer, it's a light medium, easily moved, and you think, why on earth am I scrubbing it like this? And I'm deliberately scrubbing a thin layer on to try and get into all of the little nooks and the crannies. You could use modelling paste. My experience with modelling paste and heavy body modelling paste isn't too bad. It's a bit thicker, and with heavy body gels is that they're sometimes quite brittle once and when they come out. But the reality of life is that you can, you could use whatever you have from that point of view. You just want a paste that you can put in. If you haven't got the modelling paste, then roll out a piece of clay and push the mould into that. That is a good alternative for doing that. Or push a stencil into it and roll that over. The effects will be slightly different, but I'm wanting a layer of texture. So I've now hopefully got all of the small nooks and the crannies in there with some paste in it. And now I'm going to fill it up. It's quite extravagant, I think, when it comes to using the clay, because it takes these impression molds, if you're filling them up, take a reasonable amount of paste. I will use this at another time, possibly next year, but there we are. But obviously it depends on what you're doing. But you know, equally you could use ordinary modelling paste, which Pentacolor now have in a 500ml pot rather than this 150ml pot. So use what you have that works for you. There's a creativity, resourcefulness, thinking outside the box. And you can use the modelling paste light in lots of different things. So that's reasonably full, not completely full. And I'm just going to grab, because it makes life easier, a wide spatula, and I'm just going to pull that over there to sort of smooth it out a little bit. I've got some gaps, so let me just pop that into there, refill that up a little bit. It doesn't have to be completely smooth. It will shrink down, so you can actually do this by putting a thin layer in, letting it dry, and then refilling it. There we are. So that, yeah, once it's dry, and just building up your layers until you have a thickness that you can pull out. 30 degrees. Now that would be heaven, Sharon. I am so the mold is from Amazon, the Amazonia collection, Gloria by Stamperia, and that is the one that I've used. I'm just wanting to give, I'm very conscious that it's an older mold and not everyone will have it, and I'm not sure if it is still available, and I want these big post projects that I make to be suitable for people, whether they've got an old collection or not. Okay, so then I've now filled this mold completely. You can see there's a reasonable depth, and it looks a bit messy, and that now needs to sit and dry. Now I know that for me, even putting that on a radiator, it's going to take at least 24 hours to dry. And sometimes, because the radiators go off overnight, actually in those circumstances it takes a lot longer. So let me just pop those over there. Look at the mucky heads. So as I say, I have peeled my modelling paste light out of my mould, and you can see, even though I filled it, I've got areas that are thinner. There we are. If I do that, where you can see through, and I have primed this already with black gesso. The modelling paste light tends to resist paints, and therefore you do need to prime it before painting. So, and then we have, because the colours of celebration for the Chinese are red and gold, we have Bourdon and golden red. There we are, there we are. Oh, I'm not into, well, I can do needlework. My mother used to teach needlework, so I'm actually perfectly capable of doing lots of embroidery. So let's just pop those out of harm's way, because they're currently in the way. And we're just going to mix these two colours. So these are creamy matte metallic paints, deliberately. One thing that is for certain, the modelling paste light does not like being heat set. Even with the paints, it tends to blow and bubble. It does settle down again, so you know, naturally drying would be my recommendation, but we might not get away with that. So we're just going to ombre these colours together so that we don't have a flat piece. We have a little bit of colour interest by mixing the colours together. They'll shade nicely, and it will just add a little bit of variation. I know it sort of might be looking almost orange on here, but I can assure you it's absolutely not. And you don't want big clumps because it'll stick in the indentations and cover up the words. And I'm not overly worried if it's semi-transparent either. It's a hint of colour and interest is what I'm looking for when I'm doing this. There we are. I'm going to bring out those textures on here ultimately anyway. And I get at the moment you probably can't even see that there's Chinese calligraphy in here because it all merges really and becomes a single colour on camera. I know that there's lots of texture in this, and we will be bringing that texture out, but I don't want a thick layer of paint in any of this, so I'm using a brushing and a dabbing motion intentionally, and I'm making sure I don't fill all of those crevices too much with things. And I might just have to get I've got plenty of the golden red. I know I've got lots of, a couple of pots of that, but I might just have to find myself or get myself a new pot of the Bourdon. There we are. So we're going to have a variation in colours. Oh, right. Okie dokie. I don't have the comments on mine. They're not streaming above. But thank you. That's a very helpful suggestion. Is that now much better? I hope it's better. If it needs to go up a bit higher, just please let me know what's going on. There we are. And this is not it's always a balance I find when I'm doing the lives between producing a project that's interesting, but one that's not going to take a silly amount of time. Good evening, Jan. Hello, Stephanie. But still has some techniques and some interests in what we're doing. Anyway. And then I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to do for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then I think what I'm going to be using after that for a few weeks, it will be prescribed. There we are. So let's just add. So we're just, as I say, we're just mixing our colours. So we've got some colour variation. Ooh, that. There we are. Okay. So as I say, in an ideal world, you definitely wouldn't go too near this with a heat gun because it tends to puff up. Just settle back down, but it's not the best of looks. I am gonna pop it onto the floor, have a little bit of a clean down. So that's not in direct heat, and we'll get rid of that mucky red mess so that, because it really doesn't look very nice. And then we'll get rid of some of the black, and then we will need to heat dry these bits that we've pre-painted with the black gesso. There we are. As I say, I've deliberately pre-prepped the texture paste, the modelling paste light piece, because I didn't want to be taking a heat gun to it. Right, can we see some areas that have not covered very well with the black gesso? Yeah, there we are. Let's just add a little bit onto there. There we are, that's a bit better. Doesn't have to be perfect. I can tuck back up into there. So let's just give these all a blast with a heat gun. There we are. So what are you going to be making, Helen, if you're looking for a crafty day tomorrow? Let me just move that up a bit and prove that I've learned from this, saying the comments running across the bottom of Facebook are, which are automatically put on by Facebook, are covering what's going on at the bottom of the make. Thank you, Helen. My projects will always be about layering, and I don't think, you know, a complete, even a project that is flat will have lots of layers of detail, even if they're not dimensional ones themselves. They'll still have lots of layers of interest. It's just what brings joy to my heart. So there we are. So I do need to get this dry. Oh. And sometimes you just have to go with it, don't you? And you know, and if something isn't giving you pleasure, then put it aside. You may well be able to come back to it with fresh eyes, and it gives you pleasure coming forward. And if it doesn't, well, most things could go in a bin or be recycled. But generally, if you're doing something that doesn't give you pleasure, it's a better idea to bin the concept. Unfortunately, that may not apply when it comes to working. But there you are. We all have things that we can. But if it's a choice thing and it's giving you no pleasure, do something else. Because otherwise you're not going to really want to carry on with what you're doing. So let's get this properly dry. There's some nooks and crannies in the state mould. It will take a little bit of time to dry down. The others are more surface, so that's okay. And I might hit that one again with a glue gun in a minute. So as I said, the oh, there it is. The Chinese colours of celebration are red and gold. I think they're probably also the Indian colours of celebration, aren't they? They're certainly the colours of traditional Indian wedding gowns. Let's get rid of some of that and find a pot. There we are. So let's move this to where you can see what I'm going to do. So I want some gold and I want some... I'm sorry. There we are. Heat gun is off. There we are. So let's just put, this is pigment fix. We're going to need a reasonable amount, not a silly amount. And you can only use, once it's dried in the pot, you can't use it for other things. So it's worth thinking about the quantities that you're mixing, because once it's dried, it's permanent. And the metallic powders, which I'm going to use metal pigment, once these are mixed up with the pigment fix, they won't go on to tarnish on your makes, and that's a problem if you don't have them properly mixed. So you can add as much pigment as you want. So you can have a tiny amount and just have a little bit of a glaze, almost like a varnish, although there is a chameleon varnish. Or you can add a thicker amount. So you see I added the tip of my palette knife there. And it sticks, this stuff sticks to most surfaces. I definitely think it's better sticking onto a primed plastic surface. But you get a really, really rich colour. So there's lots of different colours of the metal pigments. This is actually the antique gold, which is just a bit of a softer colour. The gold is very definitely, you know, it is more yellowy. Thinking 24 karat gold versus this one, which is more, possibly more, 9 carat ish. There we are. So we're just going to add a layer of paint all the way around here. There we are. Let's see if we might need 1 or 2 layers, but time will tell. There we are. Pop that over there. Because I use StreamYard for Pentart Lives, because it allows the Pentart to stream automatically to YouTube as well as to Facebook. I have to. It doesn't have a mechanism for magnifying the cameras, so the only way I can get a decent image size has been to move my camera down, and that means that quite often I bump it. Whereas if I'm using OBS elsewhere, I don't need to do that quite so much. So there we are. So you can see that that's going to give me a nice colour. We're going to cover the centre of this piece anyway, so I don't need to add the metal pigment to the central part of here. What's that? I've had several of the Ranger Quiet glue guns, and they just don't last. So I've given up spending 35 quid to buy a heat gun that's quiet, that works beautifully for the lives, but actually doesn't last, and then I end up having to buy a new one. It just is particularly irritating. There we are. Let's just add another layer onto here. There we are. Cool. And I want these pieces to also be coloured. So let's just pop these up onto here. We might need to give that a bit more of a blast. And then let's just cover our numbers. There we are. That we've primed with that gold. I'm going to end up with mucky, sticky fingers. It's inevitable. There we are. We've got little nooks and crannies to get into. There we are. I've got everything over there. Cool. No, that wasn't the one you returned, my darling. That one is equally noisy. Maybe not quite as noisy as that, but it's definitely not the quietest one that exists in the world. All right, we'll turn it over and take off all the paint. Why not? There we are. We'll just repaint that. Pop that over there. Let's just take our snake, and then let's just make him golden as well. If he's meant to be the sign of prosperity, then a rich decadent it was a bargain, Sarah. Unfortunately, they don't withstand the wear and tear. I think this was a faulty batch, and I know a well-known craft stopped selling them because they'd had so many returned, which is not a good advert. Maybe I'll try again. There we are. Cool. So let's just pop that in another wet wipe, and let's give these a little bit of a blast dry, partly because I'm still waiting for my red metallic paint to dry, and I really want to have the minimum amount of heat gun on that, on the modelling paste light that I can possibly get away with. So let's just pop that over there and give this a bit of a dry. And I can absolutely confirm that I got my ruler that I left and my heat gun that I left when I wasn't doing well at the solicitors in my retreat in the autumn back, wrapped up as my Christmas presents. Bit tongue-in-cheek, because I actually have some lovely presents from you. We'll try this and we'll see if we might need to add another layer or not. We're going to put some texture back into our dragon or our snake, because I get that it's quite difficult to see all of the details that are in that mould. And it's interesting that the pigment is actually cracking where it was potential. But that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Quite a lot of acrylic mediums will crack if you lay them on thick and then force dry them. Yeah. Yeah, I've got plenty of rulers. I've got 3 metal ones and 2 clear plastic ones. I did volunteer to give one to Liz, but she's found hers, so I won't need to do that anymore. She's got her own. There we are. Excellent, excellent, excellent. That's probably vaguely dry. Did I miss pieces? Yeah, of course I've missed pieces. Why wouldn't I have missed pieces? Yeah. Here we are. Let's just add a bit onto the areas that we've missed. Or that we've picked things up with. Yeah, how did I miss the whole of that? And of course, shiny and lives and lights and cameras. Really not a great combination. But hey ho. There we are. That will work. That will work. Yeah, here we are. I'll add another layer onto there. And we can add some more detail back in. I'm hard about adding turquoise, but I decided against it. We're going to stick to red and gold because they're the Chinese colours of celebration. Let's just give this another little bit of a glass dry and then we'll pick up the next bit. Let's see if that is dry. There's a couple of pieces I want to distress. Pop those over there. Pop them over there. Turn that noise off so that Liz can hear. Pop that on the floor and hope you see, and then I've missed areas, so let me just bear with while I just grab a little bit and cover up the bits that I've missed at the edges. Not that it's always going to matter, but I definitely don't want to take a heat gun to that because, as I say, it will. Well, I'm going to have to. It's slightly tacky. Bear with. But I'm going to have to pop this up high. Otherwise, I will bubble it. And it will settle down. And it's a look. But as I say, just be aware that you are definitely better off letting it dry naturally. Now, the next headache with things like this is making sure that you've actually got it up the right way, isn't it? Because we all know that it can sometimes be confusing. Now, fortunately, I know that symbol is meant to be up that way and that one. And these little, what look like an upside down Y are meant to be that way. So I have got this now orientated the correct way. And I've got out my black antiquing gel. It's not something that you see me use very often. And let's just get rid of that bit. Okie dokie. Let's remove that contaminant. It's a water-based product. It's kept in a nice warm conservatory. It's not used very often. I'll let your imagination go on walkabouts. So I can now just add that black antiquing gel over here. Now, normally I would definitely recommend that you do a patch and let it dry, and then and wipe off a bit. But actually, it's so cold in here today. I think I'm going to be able to push this in to all the nooks and the crannies and still wipe it off by doing it in one go. But just be aware, if you're crafting in a hot environment, then do this in stages. Otherwise, once the antiquing gel is dried, then you will not be able to lift it off with what you want. And that's a look, but maybe not what you're aiming for. Good evening, Marisol. Welcome, my darlings. So let us just get a damp baby wipe. Okay. And let's just wipe this back. And like anything, when you're wiping back, it really does, you need to keep moving around. So lightly, lightly, lightly. Turn it around, get a clean area. Lightly, lightly, lightly. You can always reapply, and you can always put, you know, if you want to. So don't be afraid. If it looks too dark, you can take off a bit more. So there we are. So now I've got a beautiful red metallic-y piece, and that black has brought out all of the details for the letters and the words of the Chinese hieroglyphics. And that, to me, then just looks lovely. So, Joan, on a Tuesday, my lives are always going to be on Pentart's page. If you see a notification and click on interested, Facebook should remind you, but we all know that Facebook can be a bit of a pain in the butt. I'm afraid I just don't have the ability to tag everyone in. It's just not possible. There we are. Okay. I wish I could. So there we are. So now my snake has, again, all of those details in it. Yeah. I'm actually just going to paint a bit over these because it's going to dull it down a bit. I will take most of it off, but that's fine. It'll just give it a slightly more aged appearance. Yeah. But it's a beautiful, beautiful effect to do with anything with texture. And you don't, as I say, you don't see me using that black one very, very often at all. Okay, so from here we have a simple process. There we are. So let's just take us some heavy body. I know it's a pain, isn't it, when it does that? And I will then find that I get notifications that, for lives that happen 3 or 4 days before, and that's really unhelpful. Though it does mean I can go and find them. It's just very difficult. So in your diary, just make a note. Pentart Lives will always be on a Tuesday at 6 o'clock UK time on the Pentart page. I apologize. I know that I do lives all over the place, and that's probably going to get worse actually over the next few months, because I've been asked to do some lives for a couple of other companies to help out, and I'm more than happy to help people if they ask for help, and I like what they do. So there we are. Let's just pop that onto there. Now, this is going to stand on an angle because it's on the wonk, so I'm going to have this parallel to there. Yeah, because otherwise, or am I going to hang it? If I hang it, it won't matter, will it? And let me just take that and add some more of that gold into there and get rid of that pesky hair. There we are. Get rid of that bit that I missed. Now, as we know, I use Heavy Body Gel Matte, and the problem with Heavy Body Gel Matte is that it it's a really super glue, but it dries opaque. So I am definitely going to cover up what I don't need. Okay. Hi, Jenny. Welcome, welcome. Much appreciated. It's so lovely. The thing is, ladies, when you work for a company, and this isn't a begging or a pity comment, when you're working for a company, the companies provide you with the products, which is cool, yeah? But that comes with a cost to any company. And therefore, they, you know, to justify providing products to people, to help them advertise, because at the end of the day, it is an ad. This is a way of promoting Pentacolor's products. You have to, provide content that is worthwhile and value for money. And actually, that means you need to have people liking what you're doing, liking your posts, and commenting and interacting with the page, because that's what counts. So I always really appreciate it when, so I'm going to hang this, when people will share my posts, comment on my posts and my mates, because it helps keep Pentart happy to support what I do. And sharing the will is that I'm always happy to share knowledge, knowledge that I've learnt. There we are, 2. Right. Let's just pop 2. I think we're going to change where I'm going to pop these, because why not? Because there we are. That's a slightly flatter area. And let's wipe that off there. There we are. 2. 2. And the rain has decided to arrive. Yeah, it's always good, isn't it? 5. There we are. So 2025, year of the snake. Now at the moment that looks very much just plonked on there. And we're now going to hit a little bit of headache. I'm sure we're going to hit a little bit of a headache, but hey ho, we're going to go with it. We're going to go with it. So I'm going to get, if I can find one, a brush that I know I'm going to ruin. And that's fine. And I know I'm going to ruin it because I'm taking a wax-based product. And this is an angled brush. And I can pop that into there. And I'm just going to add this in. And because it's an angled brush, I'm going to get a bit more colour on the nose, so the pointy bit, than I am on the edges. There we are. So I'm just going to go around there. It's always a bit of a pain. Let me just scoop out some of this. But it's just, yeah, I don't need 25 tons of it. And a rough brush would be better, but I won't get the same things. So I've just got it on the nose of the brush, the pointed end of my angled brush. And I can now pop this round and add that depth, a shadow, if you will, to the piece. And it will naturally fade out because I've not got so much product on that side. And it's just going to help ground this piece in place so it doesn't quite look as if it's plonked into place. And because this is a wax, I can also work it out. Because currently it's still dry, or it's still wet. So I can then just move this around, and it's just going to allow me to, so this piece doesn't look quite as if it's plonked onto here. And I can't, the nature of this is I can actually come around and lift more where I don't want it. So if I've been heavy-handed, I can help smooth it out. But it's just going to give me a little bit of depth around here. And I'm maybe not the best person at doing this. Vasilis Kontos is an amazing person for adding shading to his piece, to his pieces. But it's just going to soften that out for me. There we are. So we've added that layering. That brush is going to go into a pot of white spirit, so I'll be able to use it for other projects. So there we are, ladies. We have our Chinese New Year plaque celebrating the imminent arrival of the year of the snake, which is due to start, I think it's the 25th. That's going to need a spirit base to get rid of that, and that's fine. On the 29th of January. So I hope you like it. I hope you like the sentiment behind it. Resourcefulness, creativity, wisdom, prosperity, fertility, if that's what you desire. The year of the snake has lots of things to hopefully inspire and encourage, and I wish you all the very best for 2025, and hope that we will meet up on many occasions in the not so distant future. So if I just, there we are, if I just move that so the light isn't so shiny, and then I will photograph it so we've got all of the elements that I wanted to encompass on this project. And yeah, for me, that means it's been a relatively quick make. That was semi-intentional because it, as I say, it is freezing in the conservatory. There is one of the Hungarian creators is live tomorrow. I think she might be using Jasmonite. Vasilis Kontos is live on Thursday, so that will be have an English language element to it, so might be worth watching. And I will be back live with you next Tuesday. So I'm going to sign off now. Trust that you'll all stay safe. Those of you in the UK, please be really careful tomorrow and over the next few days if you're going out and about, because I don't want to hear that we've had nasty accidents and that any of you have required the services of a surgeon because you've broken anything. And I say that as much to you as I do to me, because I've already had 2 broken bones. I don't require any more. So take care, enjoy the rest of your evening and stay safe. Bye.